The sooner women collectively realize that men are never going to protect us, the safer we're all gonna be. And this includes cops. Now, certain women are aware that cops are not here to protect women ever. But I just, for my fellow white women out there, I just think the sooner we can realize they're not our friends either, the better off all women will be. Better off people will be. And even this is a little deep dive into a whole lot of things. Is going to tie together Gabby Petito and Karen Reed and that crazy trial that's happened, and a whole lot of stuff, and including my own story with the police. Before I go on, if you like my work, please make sure that you are subscribed and hit notifications so that you actually see it. Like, comment, share, and join my Patreon. If you want to go to my lives, if you want to see France content, dating, creativity, all kinds of stuff, personal stories, I have a lot of fun over there. Or if you just want to stay up to date on what I'm doing, you will get notified over there, because I may just disappear into the algorithm if you don't. So anyway, et voila about that. I'm not going to deep dive into literally everything because this would be a 500-hour video, but I'm just going to hit on several things. And even though my people have a long history of using the police to keep power and to incite violence, and I mean, Karen, hello. I know white men ruined that word, so it has no, people don't even know what it means, and it is a legitimate historical context that goes all the way back to this. If you don't know what I'm talking about and you are a white woman, start here. This book. Here's a better photo of it, so I'm not covering it. This book right here. So in case you are like, what are you talking about? What? Just please start here. Why am I talking about this? Because I learned just through being a history major and studying the South, especially, and understanding my people's role in all of this nightmare. I learned it intellectually, and then I learned it on a, what is that? Sorry, that's my chair. I was like, does that look like a spaceship? And then I learned it on a personal level that militarized police, or just like the military, and just all that, they are not here to help anybody other than to protect a system, the hierarchy, and usually rich white men. Let's start with Karen Reed. Not like Karen, but Karen Reed. So I'm not going to go into this whole trial because I just started and I have so many videos to make, and I'm not doing a deep dive on this. But I want to hit on some important things, and I want to thank Claire on Patreon, who always adds so many interesting topics and conversation, for bringing this case to my attention, and then other people who added on. I had to look it up, and boy, is this thing such a great example of the, first of all, like, maybe it'll work out for you, but it is so risky to date. You are so screwed if these dudes ever break up with you or turn on you, or don't break up with you and just want to get rid of you, or just, want to just like you. You're so screwed. You have no recourse. You are so screwed. And I actually believe that that they are framing her. This dude has been in the, I'm just going to bullet points here, okay? The dude who died had been with the force for 16 years. He'd only been dating Reed for 2. Honestly, I don't even really care that much about this case. I think it's a really good teachable moment of how these it's usually men, but this group of people who are supposed to keep everybody safe, even though they literally terrorize Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, especially the Black community, on a regular basis. We see what they are doing to any protesters, especially across college campuses over the last month or whatever. Like, they will beat up old people. They will beat up anybody. And you know why it's so easy for them to beat up kids and old people? Because they're probably doing it to their family. Like, duh. The guy who was leading the investigation, another one of these buddies of the dude who died, first of all, they were friends. You really think that this is going to be a fair investigation? So apparently he was texting his supervisors. She was a whack job, and he called her at "see you next Tuesday." And look at this. And one message sends to coworkers and supervisors. Imagine sending this to your supervisor. If your supervisor is receiving text about this, then your supervisor is in this mentality. Like, it's not just like one dude who's like, oopsie. This is the culture. You will never convince me otherwise. While searching her phone, he wrote, "No so far." In trial, when they asked this dude if you've ever looked for photos on male suspects, he jokes it doesn't have any bearing on facts and integrity of the case. Like, what? I just right out of the gate, just assume they all do this until proven otherwise, because the culture is so fratty, bro-bra, toxically masculine. Like, look at the cars, look at the money they're spending. You know, when I see something like this that's just from a civilian, first thing I think is insecure, tiny, and hates women, hates himself, and was beat up, was bullied in school, or was the bully in school, but a nightmare. Stay far, far away. The bigger the tires, the smaller the bigger the tires, the bigger the ego, the more dangerous they are. And these are the people enforcing the law, driving this with a whole system of power behind them. And also are like terrorize their own families, like self-reported. This is what the U.S. tax dollars buy. Look at this. Of course it's Texas. $689,000 multi-purpose. What? If this is not the most American thing I've ever seen. Now, I'm not saying every single whatever, but if they're not like that and not doing stuff, they are enabling through the code of silence and the, Blue Lives Matter and all that crap. And even if they want to talk, they're probably too terrified. So it's just a bunch of dudes and women, just people who are protecting each other and lying. And look at this, pay attention to language. When he was asked about this, about his language, looking and caught all this stuff, and he described it as juvenile and unprofessional. Notice that grown men adultify certain people, right? And then when white men make any mistakes, they go, "I was just a little boy. It was locker room talk. I was juvenile. I was just boys being boys," even though I'm a grown man who's like in his 40s or 50s. "Boys hit me bad." They do this thing, right? They literally do what white women do all the time when we're doing something awful. And then we go, and we start crying and we start acting like little girls. Like, they do this too. I know. That's why I could see it, because I know what I was taught to do without, not outright, do this, but just socialized to do. Men been doing it too. Oh, but those messages definitely didn't influence his investigation at all. No way. Hating women, dehumanizing women, protecting men at all costs, especially blue, definitely did not impact me being in charge of an entire investigation. Definitely not. Like, what? Thank God the FBI is getting involved, although I'm not sure that's even any better, but whatever. So, he's doing his little dinosaur hands. I love that. Anyway, so I'm just be careful. You date one of these dudes, and it's not just white dudes. They are all protecting each other on some level. But when women go into the police force, they're a part of the problem, and enable other. And then, but they'll pick you until they don't. I learned working with men, very toxically masculine men in the outdoors, that there's only room for one cool girl in the clubhouse, and you gotta take a dump on all the other girls because you were the one cool girl. But your days are numbered, because all you gotta do is step out of line, and then they will all go after you the way they go after all women. And this is why on my page I'm telling you, stop protecting and being so loyal to men who are literally a menace to us personally and collectively. Stop covering for them. Stop throwing other women under the bus. to keep your proximity to them and their power or their money or whatever and their protection, because they ain't gonna protect you. They will protect you until they don't. Because just assume that all men are podcast bro. All men are this. Until proven otherwise. And you know what? Even if they never prove otherwise, you need to pretend. Sorry, I'm finding my little stick thing. You need to always assume that they could turn on a dime and screw you too. Anyway, even if you don't believe they will ever turn on you, whether it's your brother, your dad, your husband, your boyfriend, your best friend, your coworker, or whatever, always be prepared. I have money in a separate bank account just in case. Just in case. I don't believe that Anthony will ever flip on me. But it gives me security knowing that if he does, I'm not screwed. Or if he gets hit by a bus, like it's not even like they personality flip. Something could happen. Anyway, the more we tie ourselves to men to protect us, the more we are totally screwed if they one day decide not to. Let's get back to I just heard about this story today. A former police officer kidnapped his wife, who he was going through a divorce with, and his two children, a 10-year-old and a 17-year-old, drove her and then unalived her in front of her children. And then drove off and then got caught and then himself. He was already been arrested for the DV or battery, I don't know the difference, and was not supposed to be around her at all. A permanent DV injunction. This dude was 60 years old. I believe he's 15 or 14 years older. I forget how her age. Then his wife, again, do not date men older than you. I mean, whatever, a little bit, but you're going to be husband's wife, probably. Thank you, Candace Kelly. Going to be that nurse and a purse to the hobo. Thanks, you all. Oh, and also don't date your coworker. She had worked with him. So 15-year age gap. Policeman and a coworker. Red flag, red flag, red flag everywhere. I'm not victim blaming her at all. I am using, y'all know, if you're new here, I use examples of the things that I want women to start seeing as huge red flags. This dude came up to her and her kid in a disguise then he forced his 17-year-old son to drive the mom's SUV, like whatever. He made them follow him to her head and then unalived her in front of the children. They found the kid by their mom, dying mother. The email that this man made his wife write to her coworkers, next level. Look at this. He made her write this and send this to all her coworkers, which is why they called the police. Teacher of the year, I'm sorry I ruined my children's lives, my husband's life. I lied about my husband and what he did. He didn't do anything. I don't deserve teacher of the year, and I have no integrity. The only thing he did was grab my keys. He loved manatee and he's a good person. I tried to ruin a good, oh my God, y'all. This is the first time I read it, like fully, like really read it. I tried to ruin a good man's life. I don't know what to do now. I don't know what to do to fix it. I'm truly ashamed of myself and my actions. He made her send that. And so people were calling the police being like, a friend of mine is going through a really bad divorce. Her husband's abusive. Like, we just got this. I swear to God, these men will do anything to protect their image and their ego, because that is what they are, the protectors of themselves, their ego, their image, and each other, and the systems of power, but they are not protectors of us. They've never been protectors of us, and they are not providers of anything either, other than unpaid labor, like nonstop labor, stress, autoimmune diseases. Well, that's what they provide. An unnecessary danger in our house and in our bed. They don't even provide O's! Just in case you want to understand why we don't take DV seriously, why we don't believe women, the more marginalized you are and the more melanated you are, the less you are believed. But look at this. Look what the police chief says. He does not know what triggered the incident. Let me translate that for you. We don't know what this crazy did to make him do this to her. We can't figure it out. She didn't trigger him to do this. Nothing triggered him. This is who he is. So even though the police have literally been nothing more or less than a protector of rich white men and their property, the very system that upholds this militarized violence. Which brings me to intersectional feminism, why it's so important, why I am just absolutely not interested in white feminism at all, because none of us are free until all of us are free. And like, again, even though my people, women who look like me, have used the state and law to oppress people, and especially use the police to enforce our own power, just so you know, the only time the state will side with you is if it's to justify racism or some sort of oppression. But if you go against a white man, especially white, you will no longer be picked. You won't. So just abandon this whole thing, because what men will do to other women, other people, they will do to you one day. It may not come until 20, 40 years later, but if they're capable of doing that to someone else, they'll do it to you. Your day is coming. Selling your soul for a little bit of protection and access to power, it never ends well. I mean, it's also just wrong, but it's not going to end well. Please believe me when I say, and I'm going to tell you my own personal story in a minute. We don't need to go much farther, honestly, to see this. Did we not learn this lesson with Gabby? They wanted to arrest her. Like, watching that whole encounter with the police, I was like, oh yeah, yep, that's what they do. Now I'm going to go, but let me just show you, this actually is a little bit of hope right here, because a lot of white women got really triggered when this story was a teachable moment about the erasure of missing women who are not white, particularly Black and Indigenous women. And a lot of people are like, yeah, but what about, just because people are trying to raise awareness for an issue doesn't mean that they're being disrespectful. I mean, one of my favorite jokes of all time was the Natalie Holloway, the angel, I'm not saying it right, Natalie Holloway effect. The only people who remember who that dude unalive was Natalie Holloway, the blonde chick. That dude was a menace to other people. I think a woman in Peru, everyone knows that woman's name. It seems like, even when I was traveling abroad, like, men from outside the U.S. were like, Natalie Holloway. Everybody who was talking about this one white woman disappeared on vacation in Aruba. Like, endless number of women that this happens to all the time who are not. But let's get back to Gabby Petito, because warning signs were there. Of course, the police did not protect her because they probably identified with Brian, or whatever the hell that guy's name is. Like, you really think that men who are so likely to be doing, like, meeting their wives and children are really gonna protect her? They're only gonna do it to justify racism. Otherwise, you're on your own. The reason why I want to bring her up is her family has done a lot since this happened to learn about much bigger problem and to advocate and educate for other women, especially women who get ignored, who don't get as much attention as Gabby did. And when the missing white woman syndrome term was used during that whole incident, you know, the search, I remember them like social media was like tracking her down better than like the police. I really love the way that her family has admitted this. Just listen. The phrase missing white woman syndrome initially upset Joe Petito, who quickly realized that it touched upon a sad truth. There's a hierarchy, bing, 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 that word right there, when it comes to missing person flyers being shared. Kids go first, then white women. I don't know, white is capitalized. Why is that capitalized? What are we doing? Anyway. And then women of color. People magazine, what are you doing here? What are you? Not only did he admit he was wrong, he took action. We want to help all missing people, says Joe. If the media doesn't continue doing this for all the people, then that's a shame, because it's not just Gabby that deserved that. Have begun using their platform to raise awareness about the thousands of unsolved murders of Indigenous persons whose cases rarely attract the media spotlight. So look at this. During their appearance on crime.com, the family invited Banji Randall Shard, I'm sorry, this is the first time I'm reading this, to speak about her efforts to bring attention to 23-year-old son Zachariah's unsolved in the Navajo reservation in New Mexico. So, okay, the reason why I'm talking about this is this family was mourning a death of their daughter. And they admit they were initially offended by that term because, they're grieving and they don't understand the context and historical context and the nuance of this conversation and how their child got so much more than the majority of women who go missing get. And then they thought about it and sat with it, it seems. Either that or they have like really good PR people, but I'd like to think that they actually realized they can use their grief towards awareness, towards showing people that when you realize that you are like ignorant about something because you weren't taught it, you can use your platform to bring attention to that very same issue, but with a much broader lens and a more inclusive lens and a more fair and just lens. So I don't know. I think it's very rare that white people that we do this. So this is I believe. I mean, I could be wrong, but this is the kind of energy, of once you know better, you do better, and then you use your grief or use your whatever and use your platform to keep fighting that thing, but in a more educated and a more empathetic and a more inclusive way. Because this right here is probably what he learned. It sounds like he educated himself or someone educated him on this. Black women are 6 times more likely to be unalived than white women. 6 times. Approximately 45% of Black women experience stalking, physical and sexual violence in their lifetime, and an estimated 50% of Black female adult homicides were related to intimate partner violence. And unlike white women, Black women also have a fear of calling law enforcement because that puts them at a greater risk for experiencing violence. From who? The police. And so they oftentimes do not ask for police intervention until the situation is, deadly. In a 2020 study published at National Library of Medicine found that Black and Latino women who experienced intimate partner violence were 2 or 3 times more likely to experience abuse or neglected response from law enforcement when reporting the incidents. So imagine, when I reported mine, I was gaslit and not believed and basically told I had to say, never mind, I lied. And then they actually put me and my friends in danger. God. Anyway, later on, and also literally did nothing. I gave them literally all this evidence. I told them where, I like Nancy Drew walked into the police and was like, here's my statement. This is all that's been happening. You can go here. This is work schedule. This is what you will find in his car. He doesn't have a license. Me and my friend went in there and literally just gifted them this stuff. And then basically, I had to recant my statement and tell them that I lied. So when they say that, especially when they have the great statistics, I'm probably one of the liar statistics because they basically intimidated me and told me that they are I can't tell them what to do and that they're going to do what they want, even if it puts me in danger. And I'm like, can I speak to someone else? And then that man was like, yeah, basically, sorry. You don't decide what we do. I'm like, even if you put me in danger by going to my place? And I was like, so are you telling me that I should just lie and tell you that nothing happened so that you don't go to my place and put me in danger? And he was like, and I was like, okay, I lied about all of it. Never mind, officer. So I'm a liar in the statistics, just so you know. And I'm a white woman. I'm the most protected woman in the United States. And they don't care about me. Now, if my ex was Black or Indigenous or any man of color, they may have cared. But they didn't ask. which kind of surprises me, honestly. Anyway, they don't care about you. They don't care about me. They don't care about any of us because most of them themselves are abusers. Why would they care? Other reasons that may influence Black women's police engagement for intimate violence, it includes institutional racism, self-blame, and stereotypical strength, among others. When something happens, you're supposed to be strong. But then when the law enforcement respond, you're not seen as a victim because you're strong. That goes back to a trope of the strong Black woman. There's many of them. That's just one of them. So just to touch on this a little bit, is again, I could do like 200 hours on this. Kimberly Crenshaw has spoken on a lot of amazing things. I have learned so much from her work. But on police violence against Black women, she also created the Say Her Name movement that draws attention to police violence against Black women. So this is what I'm trying to tell you is that whatever the police do towards Black women, they can do towards any women. They just feel, more entitled, more like they know they won't have consequences, so they just do it. But the more all women realize that what a man will do to one woman, he will do to any women, the more we need to stop protecting men because it's only a matter of time, right? Please stop believing that you will be lucky and you will be chosen if you're just enough of this. They don't care about her either. And a lot of us don't even realize how bad it is for women who are not white. And that's why I'm doing these videos. Pay attention the way the police, men, whoever treats, like I said in my other video, the way your date treats his server, you're next. Okay? It's about that hierarchical, punishing, domination, ego-driven, power mindset. That is not the way out of this hell. So Kimberly Crenshaw goes on to say misconduct is the second most common form of misconduct reported against law enforcement officers. The second most common. And yet the police have no significant constraints around the use of power. In fact, 2/3 of police departments in the U.S. do not have a single policy that addresses sexual abuse by their officers. So are you surprised that Karen Reed's, that officer who was calling her a see you next Tuesday, who was looking through her phone for news? This is what we're talking about. This is what they do. We should not be surprised. There are countless stories about how much they do not protect Black women. I think I did a video on this, I guess, a year ago, whenever this was. Oh, not even a year ago. God. Yanni Finlayson, mother, called the police. They unalived her within seconds of arriving. She was asking for them to protect her life, and they literally showed up and just took it. This, again, is a whole big story. I already covered it before. Just to give you an example. Now, let's talk about Alaskan Native women, like Indigenous women in the U.S. Okay, well, look at this. Native women endure domestic violence and much higher rates than any other ethnic group, according to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. Look at these stats. Look at this. Look at this. Look at these figures. 56% of Native women have experienced criminal violence. 55% of Native women experience physical violence by an intimate partner. 48.8% stalking. 66.4% of Native American women have experienced psychological aggression by intimate partner. And then this one right here, this is the one to pay attention. Native American women have experienced violence at the hands of at least one non. 97% have experienced violence at the hands of a non-Native. So what is this about? Native American women face an epidemic of violence. A legal loophole prevents prosecution. Now, I don't know enough about all of this to do a deep dive on it. Because again, I'm just kind of tying all these threads together. But this is something I did not realize this until today. For nearly half a century, tribal nations have lacked the authority to prosecute people who are not members of the tribe. Even though, according to Department of Justice, those non-Native Americans are responsible for most of the violent crimes. Did you hear me? I'm not saying that the intimate partner violence doesn't happen, the domestic violence doesn't happen. What I'm saying is 97% of women, Native women, have experienced violence from a non-Native So this, it's a festering legal problem that experts say affects all Native Americans, but has been particularly catastrophic for victims of domestic violence and sexual violence, contributing to the epidemic of missing and Indigenous women in the United States. Okay, so this article was from a while ago. So if anybody knows where it stands now, please tell me, because it looks like it went to the Supreme Court. I'm sorry. This video, again, is not about just this. If you want a video about this, I can try to do a deep dive on. I just wanted to bring in this context, because there's a growing momentum to fix this legal loophole that non-Native American criminals have exploited for decades. Native American women are 2 to 3 times more likely than women of any other race to experience violence, stalking, and harassment, according to the Justice Department. More than 4 out of 5 Indigenous women reported they had been victims of violence, and 90% of them described that as attacker to be non-Native American. And that is according to the National Institute of Justice report. That I'm guessing that's a pretty legit report. While we're at it, I also want to talk about military. So it is not just police who are doing this. Look at this. They call it living room terrorists. Military men. Now, one of my subs, who's also on Patreon, I don't know if you want me to say your name or not, I'm pretty sure you don't, has told so many stories to me about the way that the military men terrorize women in the military, and then of course they go home and terrorize their family. And since the police are becoming more and more militarized, it's just all the same mentality. Active duty service members are 3 times more likely to perpetrate intimate partner violence than civilians. And if you've never seen this before, this all feeds into the military, the police, a lot of the religions, and this is what they think about Christianity. So Christ protects the husband protects the wife protects the children, and this all is like BS, because none of these people are protecting anybody. But this hierarchy that, God is the man's daddy, but God's like a jerk and is abusive and would unalive his own son, and is so loving and forgiving, but literally created hell. That doesn't make sense. It's like Batman. Batman wouldn't exist without Joker. Anyway, whatever. If you are, I'm sorry, I don't mean to attack religion, because everyone has their own religion. I'm just saying that the indoctrination of this hierarchy, it's in our religions, it's in military, it's in the police, it's in capitalism, patriarchy, white supremacy culture, and it is not good. And women who protect men are just as dangerous as the men themselves. And I want to remind you something that happened to me last year, almost a year ago to the day, when a pick-me took one of my videos where I talked about men exploiting women and even financially abusing women with their hobbies. Y'all know, that's like the marathon and hobbies and all that stuff. Those videos just took off and went viral. But guess what? A little pick-me was like, no. So she took my video and she stitched it. And she had 5,000 followers. And then she built her, in one day, had 60,000 followers. And all the men who she literally criticized me and put me in a spotlight. And then I ended up in the red pill part of the internet. And I had men stalking me on all my platforms, sending me pictures on Instagram. I literally had to go private on I lost all my income. And thank you for the people who PayPal'd and Venmo'd me and stuff. That's literally how I paid rent that month. But I had to go private and shut it down for almost a month, because they would not. I didn't want to lose my whole account. And all the podcasters, this is just one. My videos were all over the internet. My face, calling me cat lady. 25,000 views on this one alone. There was a guy who stitched my video, or stitched that pick-me's video of my video. This man had 500,000 followers. I was all over the internet being a cat lady who accuses men of abuse for being able to have a hobby, do what makes them happy. So when I tell you that being a pick-me is so detrimental to the safety of all women, pick-me women, especially white women pick-me's. We have the most power, we can do the most damage. But all women who are pick-me's, who enable men and their terrible behavior and their violence, we are a threat to all women. We are a threat to ourselves. And this system of hierarchical violence, state violence, capitalism, white supremacy culture, misogyny, and homophobic, ableist, anti-trans, all of them, like, please believe me, if you are falling into any of those, you are screwing all women, including yourself. Feminism's a team sport, man. So I'll be curious what happens to her. But honestly, you could not pay me to be in a position. A woman going up against an entire police force. Like, the only thing that is keeping her alive right now is the fact that there's so much attention on her. Because if they could, they would have gotten rid of her and you know, they would have done a Boeing whistleblower to her. None of us are free till all of us are free. What these power systems do to anyone, they can do it to you too. Anyway, et voila. Thanks for being here. Join my Patreon where I do much more personal stories over there in my lives. France content, writing, writing, creativity, dating, all of it, whatever. We'll have fun over there. Go join it. Like, comment, share, subscribe if you like this. Hit notifications if you actually want to see my stuff. Thank you so much for your time. I would love to hear. I'm obviously probably missing something here, so please feel free to add anything because clearly I have so much more to learn, but I just wanted to do a little bit of an overview of how this is all related. And I hope it was informative and made sense. Et voila! This is the comment song. Did you get it this far? Did you make it to the end? I'd love to know. I'm giving you time to write that comment. Hey! Thanks for being here, y'all. I love it when y'all tell me you heard this song.